The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, August 7th. And Stone, you're going to love this. You are going to love this one, Stone. It is National IPA Day.
Hey, I'll take a Stone IPA, actually.
A Stone IPA. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Getting it. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. It's also, let's see, it's also Purple Heart Day. Shout out to all our veterans out there, Purple Hearts.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. It's National Raspberries and Cream Day. Oh, boy. Here you go. It's Loch Ness Monster Day because it's National Sea Serpent Day also. Who the hell is lobbying for sea serpents?
Who knows? Who knows? People lobby for the stupidest shit.
Crazy, you guys. It's also National LightHouse Day today, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't have the lighthouse, you're not going to be able to find your way in the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well.
It was more about ships crashing into the shore, but...
That's called finding your way, Jenny.
Hey, watch your tone, Jason, before I light your house up.
That's called finding your way. It's pretty simple. You know what I mean? Making sure you don't crash into the rocks.
Replaced them.
Radar may, you know, but they're so aesthetic though. You know what I mean? You ever see like a fancy lighthouse out on the cliff, and it's like, oh man, it's pretty fancy.
That's where you put the crazy old coot that can't do anything safe except start a fire. Stick him up there.
Oh, that's good. That's good, Dale. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off this morning with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice impaired individuals get their lives back on track. And she is coming in invisible today. That's right, because she's not on camera today. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Yes, you can't see me. I'm not here.
Uh-huh. We can just hear you. You're like the ghost.
Yeah. Anyhow, so good morning. Okay, I like my story. I'm happy about my story. Jason found my story for me. And I'm happy with it. So this is good news. The Hawaii Department of Health is giving a boost to cannabis education, announcing a new free CME CE course bundle for licensed healthcare providers across the state. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's continuing education hours that you have to have for your nursing or license as a doctor. So those are exciting. These evidence-based courses are designed to give medical professionals a solid understanding of the body's endocannabinoid system and how medical cannabis and CBD can be used in clinical care. The Department of Health notes that while cannabis remains a Schedule I substance federally, over 40 states have legalized it for medical use, citing growing scientific support for treating conditions like chronic pain, chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, multiple sclerosis, spasticity, That's all right. And certain seizure disorders. I've pulled a Jason this morning. The free course bundle includes a 3-credit course on medical cannabis, a 2-credit course focused on CBD, and a module on Hawaii's specific medical cannabis laws and regulations. All of it is fully accredited and available at no cost to the first 200 registrants. After that, the course will still be available, but with a fee. Dr. Kenneth Fink, director at the Department of Health, says with more than 120,000 patients having enrolled in Hawaii's medical cannabis program since its inception and about 30,000 currently active, it's critical that healthcare providers be equipped to recognize therapeutic benefits, side effects, and potential drug interactions. Interested providers can find instructions to access the free courses on the Department of Health Office of Medical Cannabis Control website. So, for all of the shit that has come out of Hawaii's legalization and changing of the medical program and the attack on caregivers, which they've rolled back just a little bit, this is actually a huge step, and I'm really excited to see this for the Hawaiian government to get involved and say, hey, here's some education, because this is what we should be doing, and people would take medical cannabis a lot more seriously if we said, hey, okay, you want to prescribe cannabis, you need to understand it, you need to understand how it affects the body, you need to understand how to prescribe it. So shout out to Hawaii for this, and I'll throw it back to you guys, but we'll start this show off with a happy story because I'm sure Jason doesn't have one to end it.
Nope.
Maybe you do.
I don't. But Jenny, my question is, where are they getting all this education from? Like, where are they getting the criteria for what they're actually teaching? Because, you know, they could be teaching a whole bunch of bullshit too.
They're not going to be teaching a bunch of bullshit in this accredited course. They're teaching very basic stuff that doctors should understand.
They've been teaching all kinds of bullshit in accredited courses in schools for years.
How you doing? This is a liberal arts degree, Jason. This is basic information about the endocannabinoid system.
That's what worries me the most, is you started off with liberal. That's why I'm the most concerned with this whole program.
Oh,
I said it's not liberal arts. It's not a liberal arts degree, Jason.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. And you know what? You would hear better.
Out there. There's plenty of information right now out there that all of us understand.
Yeah, I agree with that.
CB1, CB2 receptors. We all understand, how do you make these products? How are they delivered to you? How do you titrate them? What do they do for people? What are the side effects? That's the information that most of us have, but I've talked to physicians and they just go, I don't know if I got to understand this.
Right.
Somebody's in your presence and they go, hey, I don't want to take an opioid. I'd rather use cannabis. And you talk to me about that, and the doctor's thumb goes up his ass and goes, I don't really know. Okay, that's the wrong answer. Way too many people are doing it. So I understand your concern, because I've heard people say all kinds of ridiculous, stupid shit about cannabis. But having a CME, you don't get to put on a medical education course unless the medical board's involved. There's an educational approval process. You don't get to just go out there and start talking conspiracy therapies and nonsense, okay? So, you know, that's a little hysterical there.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've seen a lot of things happen in my day, Dale, as have you, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they were, you know, teaching more reefer madness.
Jason, stop it. This is actually good news. Why are you trying to ruin my good news story just because you couldn't bring one up for the end of the show? So let's go ahead and focus. Right. Why? God, Jason, you're pissing down my rope right now, and I don't like it. Please stop.
Liberal, or you say ATX is asshole snapshot.
Yep.
And the fact that neither one of those fucking words were in the story is crazy. Jason, so way back in like 2016, 2017, we were producing a show in Denver called MJ for MDs, where there were credited hours and credited education on the endocannabinoid system and on the same topics for medical professionals that could be used as continuing education. So this is coursework that's been around for a while. It's not bullshit. And this is actually a great thing for legitimizing the medical industry in Hawaii.
All right.
And more people should be doing this.
We'll see.
Now,
time will tell.
Going back to somebody who doesn't have a Jason Beck opinion. AJ, what do you think? You're an asshole too, so we'll see.
You're on mute. There we go.
The doctors never lie. They're always right. And take your shots, take your fluoride, and trust whatever the medical association says.
See what I'm saying? See, AJ?
I was giving you a little backup. But typically, so I'll tell you, Jason, because I sat in on some of those courses, the education wasn't coming from the medical board.
That's
so
good.
there are things there are accreditation marks that you have to hit for course material to set for them to say, okay, this is legitimate. We'll allow it. We'll allow it as continuing education hours. But this has all been written by people who have done cannabinoid research and who have done it from a health focused look at the benefits of medicinal cannabis, not a reefer madness standpoint, which is what the Department of Health also said when they were saying, that it's been proven and there's so much evidence to support cannabis's efficacy in treating certain conditions.
All right.
I say bring it the fuck on. I mean, this is such a good step in the right direction. I mean, any criticism aside, we need more focus on cannabis education. The fact that it's accredited and therefore likely peer-reviewed information, that's right up in the direction of what you'd want to see supporting any kind of education program. So I'm with Jenny Beth here. The 100% bring it on.
100% bring it on. Keep it down over there, Jason. This is nothing but good. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous in 2025 that doctors don't know what your endocannabinoid system is or how it works.
That's part of my whole reason why I'm, I'm saying, hopefully optimistic on this one.
You're
but
not
I'm
optimistic.
You're not. You're in a butthole. Your
Stop
butthole's
it.
puckered. What happened? Your tummy hurt?
Stop it. You guys are funny.
Here at
We can
Snapchat,
find out what
Jenny
part of the endocannabinoid system is triggered right now, Jason.
Beth, she's amygdala.
She's amygdala. That's funny. That's funny. Any final thoughts on this, Dale, before we move on?
Well, I mean, it's about time because I have been involved in these courses before, putting on parts of them. Molly was a physician. She had to do CMEs all the time. We looked for them. We participated in them. I mean, the first one I went to with Ethan Russo back it was in Yosemite. This was 25 years ago. We were trying, and now that the medical boards are actually giving credit for CMEs in this, I think is great, because how cannabis works in the system, not unlike other drugs do. They look for receptors. Physicians are taught the endo-opioid system. And you take that and you apply it to this. You go, yeah, there's a system here. It's not in the brainstem, so you can't kill anybody. Let's think about that. Then you think about how do we get it in the system? Most drugs are manufactured to be taken orally. When they come out of the liver, they are what the body needs. We don't really have that right now. Although, as I think Nate has described, it can be done. It's a pharmaceutical thing. Additionally, these were tinctures. You dropped them under the tongue.
Yep.
They absorbed quickly. They bypassed the hepatic portal system, went right into your system, like when you smoke, and you can titrate very quickly. Physicians need to understand titration, how it works, what the liver does to it. Makes it hydroxy 11 as opposed to delta 9. There's a lot of things here that doctors, you don't have to go into deep with them. You go, this is how it works physiologically. This is what it seems to do from the patient standpoint. How do you work with a patient? Teach them how to use it. Molly and I did this for a long time before they throw our ass in prison. What we did, we educated people. People needed it. And so when you go back to your doctor and you mention this, they go, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe you should. Because now, in almost every state, you can get legal cannabinoids sent to you. Whether, it's a legal marijuana state, it's a, hemp state, whatever. You can get that shit delivered to you. Now, what does a physician do when a high percentage of their patients come in and they're using this and there's a fear factor, there's an ignorance factor? That gap needs to be bridged. And I'm hopeful. Hawaii is a great place to go for continuing education. So, let's find some other place. It's a nice place to visit. Have people there actually teaching other medical providers the basics of this, because it's not that hard. Basic anatomy, physiology. It's not that difficult.
Just to ride on to what Dale was saying right there, the endocannabinoid system, it's not the standalone box within your body that we either learn about or don't. It interacts with all sorts of other systems within your body. And part of being a doctor, from what I understand, is the knowledge that comes with being a doctor, knowledge of interaction, not just with certain chemicals in the body, but how the body interacts with itself. And you need to start this discipline around learning and owning information about the endocannabinoid system and its place within the body or else you're really just selling us all short with our own physiology. Nobody actually knows what the fuck's going on because you have this massive part of the picture, so to speak, completely concealed from you at all times. So you don't actually know what the whole picture is. You can't explain it without embracing understanding and study of the endocannabinoid system. So I think Dale made that point well, but this strikes hard. It strikes deep. I want everybody to know just how important it is, not just that the endocannabinoid system is studied, but how without studying that, we are banning ourselves from understanding the full picture of our bodies, and that's not okay. We could live longer. We could be smarter. Like, anybody else want to throw one in there? Like, Alzheimer's might go away, like shit like that. So let's get to this next stage of like human development, right?
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Let's dig into that. Did you give
All right, and hey, I do love a good glizzy, and you know who else loves a good glizzy? Jason Beck, especially if they're $1.50 at Costco. So coming up next, a High at 9 head honcho and my best friend Jason Beck.
Oh man, good morning, you guys. Good morning, man. I got some interesting news, you guys. We've been, I am a big, this whole beverage hype in the industry, but there's a beverage hype story that I found, and I think you guys will enjoy it because Virgin Atlantic Airlines becomes the first airline to offer cannabis-infused beverages in flight. That's right, you guys. Virgin Atlantic is breaking new ground in both air travel and cannabis beverage innovation with the announcement of a new partnership that will bring THC-infused soda to the skies. Beginning this month, select Virgin Atlantic flights between Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Miami will offer passengers the option to enjoy Drippy Soda, a cannabis-infused beverage known for its nostalgic flavors, low-dose THC, and reduced sugar content. The airline touts the offering as the first ever cannabis-infused soda served in flight, a milestone in both aviation and beverage history. The airline says the move reduces what it is. Actually, that should be redefines. It should be redefines what it means to
reduces, you doofus.
That's what it says. There's obviously a typo in the article. It should be redefines. Anyway, redefines what it means to kick back and relax at 30,000 feet. Each can of Drippy contains fast-acting low-dose THC that complies with federal regulations, according to the announcement. The product will be served responsibly by trained crew members on participating flights, and in a quote, Virgin has always pushed the boundaries, just like the next logical step, they said, Drippy co-founder Ryan in the release. The partnership marks a major milestone in the growth intersection of cannabis and mainstream hospitality, offering a sign of how normalization continues to expand into unexpected spaces, including the airline industry. Virgin Atlantic CEO Shai West closed the announcement by saying, "We'll keep pushing the envelope and maybe opening a few more." And I found the whole actual letter. Do you guys have the video? Are you guys able to play the video? Kai,
we got the video, but it's not playing. For some reason.
Okay. So we did have a video of the commercial. We were trying to get it to play, so we're still working on our technical stuff, you guys. So we appreciate your patience with that. But I do have the actual letter from Virgin, and it says, "Dear valued travelers, at Virgin Atlantic, we believe flying should feel less like a chore and more like a vibe. That's why we're proud to announce the new partnership with Drippy Soda, the bold, euphoric beverage brand that's redefining what it means to kick back and relax. Beginning this month, select Virgin flights between Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Miami will offer Drippy on board. It's the first ever cannabis-infused soda served in flight, a milestone in both aviation and beverage history, if we do say so ourselves. Drippy's nostalgic flavors, fast-acting low-dose THC, and half the sugar of traditional sodas make it the perfect co-pilot at 30,000 feet. Each can complies with federal regulations and will be served responsibly by our crew members, specially trained to handle this elevated experience. In a quote, they say, Virgin has always pushed the boundaries. This just felt like the next logical step, said Ryan, co-founder of Drippy. And Virgin says, we couldn't agree more. And they say, thank you for flying with Virgin. We'll keep pushing the envelope and maybe opening a few more. Cheers from Shy Wes, their chief executive officer at Virgin Atlantic Airways Limited, you guys. Well. It looks like Virgin is now the new friendly skies, and I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this.
What federal regulations are they complying with?
The Farm Bill, Dale. The Farm Bill.
Yeah, Farm Bill.
It complies with the Farm Bill. The product, that's basically what they're basically alluding to, as far as I'm concerned. This is definitely a hemp-based beverage. Congratulations to Drippy on this deal. I think this is a big deal overall. I do think it's funny how they said that on select flights that they have their staff trained for that elevated experience. I thought that was pretty funny. And I am glad that this beverage is low in sugar, because a lot of these things just have shit tons of sugar in them, and that's just really bad for you. But
what do you do? Hand them an extra Biscoff or something when you give them their Drippy? Also, I hate the name of this product. It sounds like an STD side effect.
It does. I agree with you, Jenny Beth. It does sound like that. Maybe they just give you double napkins when they hand it to you.
Yeah, they're just like, oh no, you got the Drippy.
Mm-hmm.
Extra Drippy.
Well, my question is this:
oh, look, it made AJ smile.
Or is this like hemp-derived cannabinoid?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yeah, this is like a Delta 9 beverage, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it's probably like 2 milligrams of THC per can kind of thing, maybe 5 milligrams per can. It's super low dose. It's basically, water with a little bit of distillate, with probably a little bit more water with a little bit of terpene. Out there,
I mean, you guys aren't wrong, but you can actually, in staying under that 0.3% for something that is as voluminous and dense as a beverage, you can actually fit quite a few cannabinoids in there and still stay below that 0.3%, like surprisingly high amounts. But no, you could dose this. I mean, just right off the top of my head, it wouldn't be challenging to dose this well above like what you would consider to be like that 10 milligram span and still stay well below that 0.3%. Like you could go pretty high with this, actually. I don't think it's a bad idea in terms of just kind of blowing past what the hemp bill has given us, because that 0.3%, it really terminates being able to trade flower. But when it comes to something like gummies or a beverage, I mean, all of it's just right there.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I think it makes more sense than serving them alcohol. Of course, you can't stop the alcohol, but you have to train the staff on an airplane how to take down a drunk and tie him up. I don't think you'll have to worry about that so much with somebody drinking a Drippy or whatever. Especially when they already give you eye masks, you know what I'm saying, already, so you can go to sleep. Like, this is just going to help people sleep better, probably on the flights.
1,000%.
It's going to make them aggressive like alcohol does.
Yeah. Oh man, but hold on. The question is, are you going to be able to crossfade on your flight? That's the real, you know what I mean? Oh yeah,
That might be the special training. You either get alcohol or you get Drippy.
I'm willing to back. I could totally see Stone Slade being like, yeah, give me a Jack with a Drippy back.
Yeah.
Even then, there's 1,000 times over. Even if you limited it, like me and my wife would go on, and one of us would get weed, one of us would get alcohol, and we would just share. I mean, what would they do then? Like, sir, we're going to turn this plane around if you don't stop. That crossfading right there.
Oh man,
I think I'm just guessing right here because that came to mind during the article, but I'm guessing it's anything goes because it becomes uncontrollable at that point once you're serving the two in the same space.
Yeah.
I mean, Dale, please weigh in, but I think bring it on. I don't think they're going to make you multiple choice this motherfucker,
No.
Well, even if they do, this is one of those rules they can't enforce because they don't have enough people on that plane watching everything you do. When you go to the bathroom and you pass something off to somebody as you walk along, where they watching you? The camera's on you. I mean, this is fucking no. I mean, people will. I've eaten gummies before I got on a plane.
You know what? I've never really been cut off on a plane, but I never thought of just asking my neighbor to order a drink for me. I don't know why. But
you're not,
and I also don't know why I've never been cut off on a plane. I got Jesus.
Yeah, Jenny.
Right.
Jenny definitely. I'm pretty sure Jenny has been cut off on a plane. She probably just doesn't remember it right now.
I haven't, and it's amazing. That's what happens when you fly first. But on those international flights, I probably drank more champagne than advisable.
See what I'm saying?
You should just hand your neighbor on the plane a card. Say like, "Hey, if I get cut off, it's up to you now."
Yeah, I also met somebody on a flight back to Denver when I lived there that I made friends with at the airport bar, and we got drunk. And then when we were on the plane, we decided to pretend we had just gotten engaged, and that's how I found out they do have good champagne on planes in full-size bottles.
Look at that. The things you find out.
I didn't know you were that kind of person there, Jenny Beth. Would defraud the airline out of some champagne.
They defrauded me out of a fucking overweight bag charge. So
that's their business model. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, that's my business model. Better champagne, lower prices.
Oh boy.
When you can.
Yep. AJ, any final thoughts on this, AJ?
Yeah, I've often stopped to consider that there aren't enough undiagnosed schizophrenics having paranoid delusions on flights. So this could be a good thing.
Oh, that might actually be like that one lady. You're not real. Oh man, can you imagine her on a drippy, bro? That would have been 10 times crazier. Now they may have some schizophrenic things on the plane, and that could be troublesome. You are right about that, AJ. I could totally see that happen. Some people tripping out like that on the plane. I got the drip. Yeah.
Let me get my penicillin real quick.
Exactly. Oh man, that was fun. That was a fun story, you guys. Well, I told you I'd have a good story, Jenny Beth. Well, nonetheless, we're going to keep this rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet nasty. They mess up your breath, your teeth, and everything else in your mouth. But he is honest, and he's unconcerned with public opinions, your opinions, and everyone else's opinion for that matter. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope, not just down it. He is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can find him now at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Tio Loco, and for you, Jenny Beth, your favorite full of shiticus.
Yeah.
My story today comes out of Marijuana Moment. It was from Kyle Yeager yesterday. And this is a theme that I've been talking about for the last couple of years I've been on this show. It's about the positive effects of cannabis in a community when it comes to alcohol, opioids, things like that. The headline is Opening Legal Marijuana Dispensaries is Tied to a Huge Drop in Opioid-Related Deaths and Analysis Finds. And as you know, this is not something that's new to me. And what happened is a student decided to go pull a bunch of information. I think it came from Michigan. And this information is based upon public health records. And I don't know if most people understand this, but every time somebody dies, a physician has to sign a statement, attribute a cause of death, and then those numbers are kept track of locally, statewide, nationally, and they're even shared internationally. So there's statistics out there about death rates. And what they also keep, since the Sacklers, really kickstarted the opioid epidemic, keep track of prescriptions written for opioids. They keep track of how much money pharmaceutical companies pay physicians to write prescriptions for pain medicine. This data is out there, and this student, and I didn't really pay attention to who this person was, went through and pulled a lot of information out. And they did, this was over a long period of time, decade, okay, that they took a look at this. And statistically speaking, and these are statistics, and I'll remind you of what Mark Twain said. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. You can do a lot of things with these. But what seems to be the pattern is that when you make cannabis available to people, medically is, a good way to start. But even, adult use, we call it, when that's made available to people, what you see in the surrounding areas, okay, that allow people to do this is that the death rate from opioid overdoses drops. Prescription rate for opioids drops. Okay? If people have cannabis available to them, and chronic pain is a big driver of this, and if they have choices, many of them choose cannabis over opioids. Okay? And so you see they call it a precipitous drop. It was a 30% drop. Now, as I said, these are statistics, and before anybody gets their panties in a knot or think, oh, we've solved the world's problems, this should be directing people towards research. Okay? Let's take a look at this, because the opioid crisis was something that was built by big business. I mean, people have been using opioids. I mean, we've got them in tombs in Egypt, a couple thousand years BC. It's not a brand new. It's been known for a long time. Opioids are a two-edged sword, great for pain, habit forming. This is not brand new stuff. Okay. But with the advent of pharmaceuticals now, and this goes back to Bayer in 1896 or whatever it was, when they invented heroin, these motherfuckers will make opioids as powerful as they can, and then they'll patent them so no one can use them. The Sacklers just went on steroids with this. So a lot of information's being tracked right now, and we do not have an answer for people using these substances that make them feel good. I mean, we live in a world where people just feel like shit, and there are pills that make you feel better. Some of them are very, very dangerous. Cannabis is one of those substances that makes you feel better. So we're not going to stop all this stuff, but trying to act like somebody's parent and telling them you can't use a drug has not worked. I mean, that's been the model for over 100 years. I'm going to be, we call it in loco parentis. I'm going to be your parent. I'm going to tell you you can't do this. If you do, I'm going to kick your ass. How well has that worked? Because now we got fentanyl that's cheaper. This is what happens, is that you try to stop people from doing something, make it illegal. Now it becomes cheaper, more powerful, and more plentiful, because if you try to squeeze that balloon in the middle, it pops out someplace else. This is what we see. So statistically, when people have access to weed, they stop using as many opioids, not just because of pain, but because these are drugs that treat despair. And cannabis will do that too. But when you're in a mindset of despair and some pill or shooting up heroin or smoking meth or whatever makes you feel better, the problem is not the drug. The problem is the despair. How do we get to that? How do we get physicians, as we just talked in the last story, about, CMEs to try and educate them? This is an area that demands education, not just empathy for the people who have, substance abuse. This is a mental health issue. It needs some treatment. If they're doing shit that's antisocial, they need to get spanked about it. But how can we incorporate this? Now, one of the statements I don't want to, go off on a tangent too much here, but this student, name's Berman or something like that, said that, maybe cannabis is even safer than alcohol. And I thought, okay, now you fucking moron. Why would you say something like that? If you're doing a statistical analysis, why don't you go on Google, go to the CDC and ask them, how many people die every year from alcohol? Okay. 178,000 people. That's 486 people a day die from alcohol. And you're telling me, perhaps cannabis is safer than alcohol? Come on, get your head out of your ass. Where'd that come from? Maybe you're just young and naive. You don't know what you're talking about, but this is the kind of information that I would expect Kevin Savette and Sam to continue to throw out there, these little carbs. Oh, maybe it's safer than alcohol. Oh, fuck you. It's a whole lot safer than alcohol. When it comes to tobacco, 480,000 a year. That's 1,300 people a day. When it comes to opioids, 80,000 a year. That's 219 a day. I tried to find deaths from cannabis, and the AI comes back and says, well, we can't find it. Here's something that Florida did from 2014 to 2020, they said there was 386 deaths from cannabis. Now, I'd like to go look at the studies, but it's like, come on, stop it. Why would someone who is in an academic or intellectual endeavor say something as incredibly unfounded as this? And it goes to what I talked about before. It's an inherent bias people have. They've been trained that weed's horrible. It's going to ruin Western society. So even if I'm putting out good information here, I'm still going to say something stupid that advances this nonsensical narrative that weed is a very dangerous subject. I'm not saying there aren't problems from it, but some things just cannot be supported. And if you let them go without being challenged, people think, well, there must be something there. There's nothing there. This is the safest medically active plant on the planet. Period. Full stop. Stop it. And when people have access to it and they have a choice between popping a Vicodin, okay, or a Percocet or whatever, and they have cannabis, people understand if I take opioids, there's a chance I could have an addiction problem or a dependence problem. My chances are much, much less if I use cannabis. Okay? So I think what this overall was a very good thing that people need to be made aware of, including physicians, and just the general public. This is what we see as positive results. Let's go study this more. For God's sakes, stop throwing in stupid barbs that are not supportable by facts. Show your bias, okay? And then, I just feel compelled to shoot back. No, there's no comparison between weed and alcohol. It's just not even in the same universe. I'm going to throw this back at you guys because now you're getting my bias thrown into this, but you guys think about this.
Oh, man. Stone, I know you have a whole bunch of thoughts on this, and I think AJ does too, as well.
Man, it's plain and simple. We've look at the fucking studies. We've spent decades fighting this losing battle against the opioid epidemic, and in part because people like Dan Patrick and John Corn here in Texas continue to attack a plant that keeps showing up study after study as a safer alternative. It's mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. And yet they still want to keep on prescribing opioids for everything, and cannabis is the devil's lettuce, and keep it away from everybody. AJ, what do you got to say? I know you like this story too.
Well, Willie Nelson mentioned an anecdote in his autobiography that a good friend of his died from marijuana when a 50-pound bail was dropped on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I know someone that went into federal court, and they were asking, they're like, where do you think this weed comes from? And this federal judge told the defendant, they said, the federal government pays me to believe that marijuana falls from the sky in crates.
Well, it did. If you were, never mind. Never mind. We're not going to talk about what may or may not have happened in NorCal in the early 90s. Okay.
It's nice of him to share his process with us, though.
It did at the main airport.
Thank you for doing looking up those statistics too, Dale. It's always nice and mind-blowing when you see that kind of stuff. Did you say 80? I was just going off memory. 80,000 people a year from opioids?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Holy shit. Yeah, like this, it's literally based on, and like you pointed out at the very beginning, don't draw direct lines of fact between what the findings might be telling us and what really might happen if it plays out. But, if we consider extremes of a matter, best case scenario, you're basically looking at the number 2 preventer of death in the United States, it pretty much in history, behind adding seatbelt requirements to cars. So like that's mind-blowing. If it's the only reason Newt Gingrich is even worth mentioning anymore, you know what I mean? And for it to be like runner-up to that's holy shit. Like just the number of preventable deaths that could be avoided is mind-blowing. So that's some of the stuff that struck me.
Hold on a second. You're bringing up this whole seatbelt thing, because I think seatbelts are a gross overreach of government, and I do think that seatbelts are good and that people should use them and whatnot. But as far as people being forced to use them, I don't think people should be forced to use them. And so
I brought it up deliberately, just generally seatbelt requirements, both in cars as well as what you might say is now part of regulations. And I did that deliberately and ambiguously.
There's no state you
not
can
to get in an argument.
There's no state you can't drive in the United States of America that doesn't have a seatbelt law to where you can get a ticket if you're not driving with a seatbelt on. Okay, so it's a mandate. It's not a choice. It should just be a choice. And I do agree that seatbelts save lives. But there's some car accidents where seatbelts don't save lives, and they actually prevent people from getting out and escaping out of the cars. So there's a whole different prong approach. I see Dale shaking his head. He's like, oh Jesus Christ, going down the rabbit hole.
There's really one way, and I don't want to necessarily narrow in too much, because I do agree with you in government overreach in so many different aspects of our lives. And to
it's just like the smell of weed. Wearing a seatbelt,
I feel like you and I would be agreeing more on that general side.
Yeah.
But then again, to take this general idea that we're talking about and to ignore the fact that it is literally the number one eliminator of preventable deaths in the United States history, is you don't want to ignore that. That's like
I don't buy that it's a preventable death. I'm not buying that. I believed in planned obsolescence, and I believe stupid people should, do stupid things. And FAFO.
Well, thankfully, he's not making public policy, because these are public policy things. And going back to Locke and Montesquieu, we agreed as a social bargain to give up some of our freedom for the good of the whole. It's the foundation of our country, and we argue about what freedoms we're giving up for the good of the whole. That's what you're arguing right now, Jason.
I know.
Big business stepped in and said, this is way too I'm talking insurance companies. I work for them.
Yep.
He stepped into government and said, this is costing us way too much money. We need to put safety things into cars because people will not do the safe things to protect their own selves. So Big Brother stepped in and did it. And we all argue about, where should we draw the lines here? I don't know, because we still haven't gone back and had the big conversation about COVID and how they told us all to stop doing all this shit and stay away from each other. And it was the stupidest fucking advice we could have had.
Exactly.
But these are public policy things. And, I wear mine. I was raised that way. I don't know what to tell you. I have friends who don't want to do it. Tell them, great. Okay? But then when you get into a car accident, I'm a defense attorney, and you weren't wearing a seatbelt. I say, well, there's contributory negligence here, and I ain't paying you shit because you wouldn't have been hurt if you had your seatbelt on. So there's consequences here that are beyond just your personal freedoms. And
I agree, and I just want to make sure. That people understand. I do agree to use and wear seatbelts. I do agree with that, but I don't agree that you should be pulled over because you're not wearing a seatbelt. That's my whole point is that I don't believe that there should be that government overreach to say, oh, you know what, we're going to pull you over and we're going to give you a ticket because you're not wearing your seatbelt. That's just a government overreach. That's the same thing as like, oh, you know what, we smell weed in your car, so we have probable cause to search your car. To me, that's a government overreach. That's my whole point of it. I think seatbelts are great. They save lives, yada yada yada, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. That's great. But as far as the government enforcement saying that you have to wear this is where I draw the line.
Okay. Well, but they exist.
They do.
Laws have been found to be constitutional. And if you get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, you're going to be paying a fine.
I know this, and I think that's government overreach. I agree with all of everything you just said, Dale.
Yeah. Well, but where's the line for government overreach? And that's what elections are all about. So, where are we going to take this?
Man, that'd be
people in power agree with you.
Let's repeal the safety belt initiative. Let's put that on the ballot. That would be great.
Jason, let's repeal this story because we've gotten really far away from it.
Just saying. Cute, Jenny Beth. Cute. On that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I'm Cole Preston, and today I'm at Blue Island Beer Company for the premiere of my mini documentary on legalization policy in Illinois. I've been following cannabis policy since colorful Colorado legalized it all the way back in the day, and when my home state of Illinois decided to legalize it, I just became enamored. I wondered, what would it actually look like? If you'd like to see how Illinois fell short in achieving meaningful reform in their cannabis policy, you can watch my mini-doc now at colememo.com/mini-doc.
Oh, we're back. We're back, you guys. We're back. We're back. We're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Smash the like button. I know you'll appreciate it. We'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. We are back. Jenny Beth, you got Stone up next. What do you got to say about that, Jenny?
Man. Well, you don't laugh like that, Stone. It's very strange. All right. The very giggly, very floral, straight out of the ATX. He's
Austin.
He's right at home because he's not hitting the high road right now. I guess he's high off THCA. Stone Slade.
Stop it.
He's THCA, that's right. It's the D8 special.
Sucker punch.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I think we almost everybody's got kind of a happy, positive story today so far.
Jason.
Same here. When it comes to unplanned pregnancies, some have been pointing fingers in the wrong direction. A new study published in Addiction shows that heavy alcohol use, not cannabis, is far more likely to lead people into situations that they're actively trying to avoid. Researchers followed more than 2,000 non-pregnant people over a 13-month period across 5 states: Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, and parts of California. All participants were patients at reproductive and primary health clinics, and the study focused on those with a strong desire to avoid pregnancy. So what did they find? Heavy drinking was significantly associated with a higher rate of unintended pregnancy. In fact, 54% of the participants who became pregnant despite not wanting to also reported heavy alcohol use. Cannabis, on the other hand, showed no association with increased pregnancy risk. Even more telling, people who used cannabis frequently were more likely to report a high desire to avoid pregnancy compared to non-users. They were intentionally self-aware and seemingly making more responsible decisions about their reproductive health than their alcohol-using counterparts. Meanwhile, alcohol continues to be the socially accepted staple of everything from brunch to baby showers, despite its role in impaired judgment and impulsive decisions. It still manages to escape the stigma or legal penalties that follow cannabis users around like a shadow, and the study also touched on this directly. Despite stronger evidence of fetal harm from alcohol, pregnant women reported being more afraid of legal consequences from cannabis use than alcohol use. That says a lot about where our priorities are and how outdated our laws still are. To be clear, this doesn't mean cannabis is automatically safer during pregnancy, although I personally don't think it's that bad. More research is needed, but the data here strongly suggests that people who consume cannabis, particularly those who use it regularly, aren't being reckless. If anything, they're being more mindful and more careful than the people relying on alcohol to unwind. So when we talk about public health and reproductive choice, maybe it's time to stop targeting cannabis users and start having real conversations about alcohol, not just its effects on the body, but its role in risky behavior and unplanned outcomes. This study might not settle the debate, but it does make one thing obvious. It's not cannabis leading people into situations they're trying to avoid. It's a substance that we've all been totally told is totally fine in moderation, even when the evidence says otherwise. And if you're going to continue criminalizing cannabis users while handing out rosé at the OBGYN office, maybe it's time to admit that the real danger isn't this plant, it's the hypocrisy. I'm Stone Slade with the High at 9 News.
Wow.
As one of the only people, as probably as the only person here who's been treated by an OBGYN, they do not, in fact, hand out rosé, but it would make pap smears much more enjoyable. So.
And warming the speculum, right, Jenny Beth?
Mm-hmm.
God, right? Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. Also, I'm really glad that Yarrow's not on today's show.
Oh God. Oh boy. Well, I think it's just because people that smoke cannabis tend to understand consequences more than people that just drink alcohol.
I agree with that statement.
I think. Look at that, Stone. Look at that. We found some agreement over here today, over in Austin.
Yeah, buddy.
Look at that. I think that's really what it boils down to.
Alcohol also lowers your inhibitions.
Mm-hmm. It
puts sort of a check on at the superego telling you, I don't think you should lay down with this person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe the parking lot's a great place.
Mm-hmm.
Cannabis, you don't have that inhibition lowering. I mean, if you're stupid, you're stupid, but we don't see the same thing. I call alcohol liquid stupid because people do things under the influence of alcohol. They would tell you when they're sober, I'll never do that until I get a couple of shots of tequila and next thing your panties are off. And where are you going with that?
Yep.
It's a long-standing problem. I think it's something that should be taught to everybody.
Yep.
Okay. To try to counter a belief system not factually based, this weed is going to ruin Western society. Quite the contrary, the evidence is different. And I think part of what we all try to do here is put out factually, statistically correct and provable statements of what's actually going on. Get rid of the hysteria. Alcohol, I mean, I like scotch myself.
Yeah.
It's great. But I know that a lot of unwanted pregnancies happen from that and a lot of other stupid things coming from it. And I just think we should be, able to be adults and honest about this, talk about it like we're doing here without getting red in the face. And next, I've had women get liquored up. Next thing you know, we're all naked. And it's like, well, I would have done that if I was sober.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm ugly as hell. And why are you doing this?
Well, speaking of that, Dale, Steve Blessingham in the chat, he says, alcohol is like, oh, she has most of her teeth. We're good.
Yeah. I don't need a bag this time. I'm just blind from alcohol.
Exactly. It sounds like a good idea right now. This is so true. AJ, you have any drunken experiences you care to share?
No.
Smart man.
Never been drunk in my life.
Never been drunk. Really? Never. Never. On record. Fair enough. What about yourself, Nate? I'm sure you've had some drunken episodes.
Definitely. I can't steer clear of those. Although, fortunately, I figured out by the time smartphones came around that making an ass of yourself and how quickly things can make it to the internet's probably don't go down that path, right? And so I think I stood with the times. That much said, I like that more attention's being brought to it because on this side of the fence, so much of the stuff seems like no shit. But at the same time, it doesn't become normalized until the no shit isms of the world get talked about over and over and over and over again. My tirade against THC in this industry, it's a good point that I've made 100 times. I realize I have to make it 1,000 more because everybody needs to know that, and it needs to become normalized that everybody understands things are a certain way. Hey, tequila might be everybody's mean drink, and in this case, cannabis is always going to be on this healthier end of the spectrum, whether it's dealing, as pointed out by the last two articles, whether it's largely around mental health or the actual other aspects of health in which people, when given the alternative, tend to go the healthier route.
Fair enough. Jenny Beth, you have anything you want to say on these drunken stupors?
No, I'm good.
She's just popping another bottle of champagne, apparently.
Anything.
Exactly. Well, again, I think ultimately this comes to people understanding consequences and them, thinking about it, and it kind of ties in too with the whole, alcohol and driving versus cannabis and driving kind of thing, where they see that, the drivers on alcohol, they tend to, run past stop signs and speed aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And where cannabis smokers will stop at the stop sign a little bit longer and use a little bit more caution when making the decisions. And I think that all those things all kind of correlate all together in regards with this whole story. So thank you so much, Stone. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
All right, coming up next, Jenny, are you with us, Jenny? Is she here? All right, well, I guess.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, all right, there she is. All right, Jenny, you got Nate, Jenny.
Okay. All right, coming up next, Nate Winokur, founder of Teaching Bud. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure he'll tell us. Shout out for the pre-promo. Go ahead, Nate.
Appreciate all that. Teaching Bud, education company that is specialized in cannabis education and science. We've been releasing quite a few podcasts and videos. The last couple on YouTube have done pretty well. Check it out. It's called Teaching Bud, please. And thank you guys so much for shining the light on that.
Yeah.
Today's article is a study finds medical cannabis significantly reduces emergency and urgent care visits for chronic pain patients. So far we've had a pretty good little run of cannabis meets health and, good research behind it. And in these senses, got really good articles, really good research and studies behind them. For this one, a recent published study examined how the use of medical cannabis affected how often chronic pain patients use healthcare services. The study noted that chronic pain affects an estimated 20% of adults in the U.S., and patients are more likely to use emergency treatment services. It also states that cannabis has been suggested in previous studies to be an effective treatment option for chronic pain, while conventional treatments tend to have short-lived improvements in pain. To find out how medical cannabis use impacted healthcare utilization in chronic pain patients, researchers examined data from the telehealth platform LeafWell, analyzing patient self-reported data on urgent care visits, emergency department visits, hospitalizations, and quality of life. The retrospective cohort study, Medical Cannabis Use, Healthcare Utilization Among Patients with Chronic Pain, a casual inference and analysis using TMLE, was published in July 2025 in Pharmacy. The researchers analyzed data across 36 states from 5,242 patients, 3,943 with cannabis exposure, prior cannabis use within the past year, and renewing their medical cannabis card through LeafWell, and 1,299 patients with no exposure, applying for a card for the first time. Patients were ages 18 and older with chronic non-cancer pain. Individuals using cannabis recreationally were not included in the study. Patients were asked about their healthcare utilization within the past 6 months. The researchers used targeted maximum likelihood estimation, that's what TMLE stands for, within the superlearner to estimate the effect of cannabis on healthcare utilization. Where are we? There. Changes in quality of life were measured using a health days measure from Centers for Disease Control. Overall, medical cannabis patients utilized healthcare significantly less than non-patients. Highlighted results included cannabis exposure was associated with a 2 percentage point reduction in urgent care visits, 2.0 percentage reduction, which is 27% in urgent care visits, a massive reduction. It was also associated with 3.2 percentage point reduction, 33% in emergency department visits. Cannabis exposure was associated with 3.5 fewer unhealthy days per month, an 18% decrease, and differences in hospital visits were not significant statistically. The lower rates of urgent care and emergency department visits in the cannabis exposed group were suggested to be caused by improved day-to-day functioning and well-being, resulting in less need for urgent symptom care. The limitations of the study included reliance on self-reported data to categorize patient cannabis exposure and healthcare utilization. Differences in cannabis dosage, consumption method, or frequency were also not accounted for. It would be difficult to. Based on the results, additional longitudinal studies were called for in order to further examine the long-term cost efficiency of cannabis. These real-world gains build on prior work which finds small health improvements associated with medical cannabis use and non-cancer chronic pain, the researchers stated. Taken together, these findings suggest that medical cannabis may offer a meaningful complement to existing pain management strategies by not only alleviating symptoms, but also reducing the burden on acute care symptoms. These findings demonstrate the tangible benefits that medical cannabis offers people with chronic pain who are often overburdened by excessive healthcare costs, stated study author Michelle Doucette, Senior Director of Research at LeafWell, in a news release. While more clinical trials are needed, she says, to establish the ideal dosing strategies and potential risks, this study is a step in the right direction towards recognizing the meaningful impact of cannabis in healthcare. So this is a fun study. And to my last point, following Stone's story, this is something that I think kind of to many of us here and then listeners almost hits that point of like, no shit, like obviously cannabis works in this way, but to really break this down and examine it, what we're looking at here is that basically we have real world data that goes and shows that to utilize a plant that works naturally with our bodies is infinitely more effective than anything else that comes across that same plane, right? So the opportunity here to have access to cannabis, not just us, but literally as part of human physiology, leads to a better sense of well-being. Now, if I were trying to, in the healthcare industry and trying to squeeze every last penny out of people, this maybe isn't great news. But from the pro-cannabis side of things and things that actually help direct and impact human health, things like the relationship our bodies have with the endocannabinoid system and phytocannabinoids, cannabinoids that come from plants. This is all so important and so impactful, and I hope everybody's paying attention. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it.
Wow. I mean, overall, this is great news. I mean, you know what I mean? This is just shows it just proves more of the anecdotal evidence that we've all been saying all from the beginning, Nate.
Yeah. A 27% drop in urgent care visits and 33, I wrote that down, and ER visits. That's huge. That's not anecdotal. That's impact, man. That's big.
Yeah, like you don't get those kind of numbers unless you find something. Like if you're a researcher and you hit those kind of numbers, like that's your eureka moments right there. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, like what we meant to do in this project, we did it. Mm-hmm. Like now people just need to fucking pay attention, you know?
Yep.
Well, and why aren't they paying attention? That's the big question. Because for years, and this is going way back when they first passed the Controlled Substances Act, they did not want to fund any studies that would show the positive effects. Okay. Mm-hmm. That model from the government's kind of gone in the trash, and we're bringing forward statistics which seem to be reproducible facts to present about this. Now, I was trained in orthopedics, so I spent a long time treating trauma patients And when someone comes in, let's say they've snapped their leg or something in a car accident, you have to treat the immediate acute pain. Then when that goes away, now you look at the options. What can we do that are short of morphine or something like that? And so they develop these products built from the codeine molecule. Codeine works, Vicodin works, oxycodone works, okay? But still, those are very habit-forming. And then once you get beyond the mid-range, and we're basically permanent and stationary with pain, which a whole shitload of people, with 20% of the country has chronic pain problems. Now what do? They've invented just a shitload of molecules to give you to try to deal with chronic long-term pain, from aspirin to Tylenol, Neurontin. There's a whole bunch of them, but they took out the heavy addiction potential. That was the big selling point. It continues to be. But cannabis doesn't have the heavy addiction potential the opioids do. So this is where medical education, or targeted research, and trying to get the pharmaceutical industry out of the government's ear is the battle we have. Because all of us know, we've had personal experience. I have a bad back. Stone, when your back's fucked up, that first short period, the acute period, hey, give me some fucking heavy painkillers, man. This hurts. As it starts to get better, maybe some muscle relaxers and less. But then you go on, and if you have long-term pain, now what do I do? Okay. That treatment model, if everyone in medicine was as educated as we are and open-minded to this, you would incorporate cannabis products as early as you could to decrease the use of opioids, which is the big bugaboo. Opioids are addictive, and I've seen this happen. You can't predict. I've seen people get an opioid for the first time, and that's all their fucking brain can think about. They are an addict from that point, okay? And others that grow dependent because it actually works for pain. If we could bring into that picture, and this is where pharmaceuticals will figure this out at some point, add some cannabinoids into a medicine that might have some opioids in it, maybe some other things, and manage people to get them through a very traumatic process and get them to a point where they can manage their pain without wanting to commit suicide, okay? Without having the horrible despair you get. Chronic pain causes depression. It takes a lot of energy to fight chronic pain. It's hard to be, I've got chronic pain. It takes a lot of energy for me to be this pleasant person you see here in the morning. It's fucking hard, okay? And that physician will throw a goddamn pill at you for everything. It gets frustrating because this plant in formulations that Nate's familiar with, it could be easily made and made available to people to target pain better. We could add it to the toolbox of physicians treating long-term chronic pain, and it would reduce death rates. It would be a wonderful thing. When you can't get it done, you have to ask, okay, let's follow the money, because this is taking money out of the pockets of somebody because they're spending money to stop it from happening. There we are. I get so irritated that these fucking lobbyists who are more important in making money than the long-term health, safety, and welfare of our own citizens.
AJ, any thoughts on this? You had any any trauma situations where you went to the ER for weed?
Well, when in my 30s, I smoked from morning till night, which made me hungry all the time, which made me become 40 pounds overweight, which made me have pain. So I don't know. I guess I'm in the opposite side of the spectrum. It's when I stopped smoking cannabis and started smoking hash and tobacco, I stopped getting hungry. I shed the weight, and I didn't have pain anymore. No more back pain, no more neck pain, no more knee pain. So not to discredit anyone that uses cannabis to manage pain, but then it comes with the side effect of being hungry all the time and gaining weight. So that's something that's a new problem to manage. At least it was for me. And now that I'm in my 50s and I'm not overweight, I have no pain.
Yeah.
I was in worse shape in my 30s from smoking and being hungry all the time.
Interesting. Jenny Beth, how about you? Any thoughts? You there? She just out there?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Nothing from Jenny Beth. Nothing.
That's pain that's secondarily treatable, AJ. And I mean, when you're talking to a physician about the source of your pain, and my joints ache, and what do you weigh? Well, I've got an extra 40 pounds. You go, okay, let's try losing some weight. And maybe they can come up with a formula like you did, where I can still get the cannabis experience and not put on the weight. That's a discussion that you can't have with the average physician.
I'm not advocating that people switch to hash and tobacco, but it did work for me.
And neither am I. But as Stone knows, when you blow out a disc in your back and they go grind all that shit out, that's going to hurt. And you can't, losing weight may make it better. It's not going to fix that problem. Or when you've snapped your femur and got an infection or whatever. I mean, there's so many that are just chronic sources of pain aren't going away. This discussion, I'd like to have this discussion in a group of physicians, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, nurses, people that actually have hands-on with patients where you're trying to unravel and figure out how do we treat you best without having pharmaceuticals say, hey, well, if they're depressed, throw an antidepressant at them. Oh, they're having trouble sleeping, throw a benzo at them. Okay. Oh, you don't want to get high. Let's give you Neurontin. I mean, there's something they'll throw at you rather than let's take a look at the playing field. What's the safest for you? And how do we get that titrated to a level where you feel I'm content and I can manage my pain? That's the struggle. And we just, stick our head in the sand and fight about things that really aren't important because the people writing these prescriptions and giving out the advice that we might be able to give them don't know their ass from a fucking hole in the ground about this. Very frustrating.
Well, man, so, it's interesting because I know someone that didn't consume cannabis and they went to an event one time and they ate a bunch of brownies, and those happened to be weed brownies, and they didn't know that they were weed brownies. And this is before like labeling and milligrams and all this. This is back when everything was like 1x, 2x, 10x, 50x, and all of this, all that type of thing. But none of this stuff was labeled. And this person was a homicide, the lead homicide prosecutor for a county at the time, and he ate a bunch of edibles and whatnot. And all of a sudden, he started having a panic attack and had to go to the hospital and everything. And you know what I mean? And all they did was give him some milk and, say, chill out. You're going to be all right. But nonetheless, this does happen. And, it does happen from both sides, although it's very, very rarely on the cannabis side.
If you're going to give a chronic pain patient a medicine, whether you give it to them intentionally or they take it anyway, and you look at what we call the LD50, 50% of the people, how many of them die? The LD50 here. Well, that's what we like to talk about. What's the death rate? Okay. There is no death rate from cannabis. So you take away the concern somebody might die from this. You can die from opioids. You can die from Tylenol. You can die from aspirin. You can die from Neurontin. All these have an LD50, the lethal dose that kills half the population, okay, that is achievable. That's not being put in the conversation when you're having a chronic pain conversation. Yeah, I can write you a script for Percocet. But if you take 10 Percocet, you might not wake up in the morning. Maybe you got to give some Narcan. I mean, the discussion can be expanded for patient health and safety to include cannabinoids into it. But see, we're the choir. We're all preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
That's why CMEs I like, because I've taught in CMEs before. I'd like to go there and give them my perspective. I say, fuck a lot. If you can't handle that, stay outside.
Yep.
Because I'll talk straight to you and add to your toolbox ways to treat this that are safer than just going right to opioids or to their alternatives, because they all will kill you at some point.
They definitely will. You're so right about that, Dale. And just as a quick note, I got some messages from some people and some conversations. The original person that I found that Virgin story from today just just posted up a message, and so I want to share what they just said. Let's see, where is it? I'm sorry. But you guys are definitely going to want to hear this. So he says, just as a FYI, a reporter reached out to me and said, this is 100% false per the Virgin story coming tomorrow. So he says, I don't know what's going on, but Virgin apparently is going to be releasing a statement tomorrow talking about this whole story. So apparently Virgin got trolled. Apparently maybe we got trolled too, but whatnot. It was a fun story to talk about, but apparently it is total fake news. So we want to make sure that we let you guys know that as soon as we become aware of stuff like that. But I will be finding Virgin's response to this, and I will be covering that tomorrow. So tune in, make sure you check it out, and see what Virgin has to say about all of this.
It's only available on flights to Richard Branson's island.
Oh, stop!
First of all, Jason, you should have known this was fake news, because how would a Virgin get the drip?
Oh, that's cute. That's cute, Jenny. It's
not. There's nothing cute about that.
That's pretty cute. That's pretty cute. Jenny, do you want to introduce AJ next, or you want me to?
You could do it.
All right. Coming up next is Mr. AJ, the founder of Sour Diesel. He's an asshole, and his name is Joe, and that's why he is AJ, the Sour Diesel King. That's right. It is none other than Mr. AJ Sour Diesel.
How you doing? Okay. The Marijuana Herald reports that Christopher Kimball has stepped down as director of Florida's Office of Medical Marijuana Use, a position he held for nearly 3 years. According to his LinkedIn profile, Kimball left the role in July and is now serving as Deputy General Counsel in the office of Governor Ron DeSantis. Bobby Smith, a longtime official with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, has taken over the OMMU director. Smith spent more than 17 years at the agency, focusing primarily on legislative affairs. Florida's medical marijuana program remains one of the largest in the nation. As of August 6th, there were over 920,582 registered patients. Kimball's departure comes at a pivotal time. The state is preparing to defend its decision to award 22 medical marijuana licenses, announced in November 2024. More than 20 vendors denied licenses have filed legal challenges with the State Division of Administrative Hearings, leading to a consolidated 3-month hearing set to begin in October. Attorney Paula Savchenko said this week that due to the scope and complexity of the legal proceedings, it could be another year before the state issues any new licenses.
Wow.
Yeah, I also just decided to ask Google this morning, can Florida medical cannabis users own a gun? To which Google responded, gun ownership and medical cannabis use in Florida, complex legal landscape. While Florida's medical marijuana laws allow patients to possess and use cannabis for medical purposes, federal law prohibits individuals who use controlled substances, including marijuana, from owning or possessing firearms. This creates a significant conflict for Florida medical cannabis patients who also wish to own and possess guns.
Well. First of all, AJ, you're using Google, which we all know is pretty woke. I think it would have been better off using Grok, to get the truth out there.
I'm woke.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I wonder if this has anything to do with the whole DeSantis situation. And of course, we know that they don't want to issue out more licenses because they're trying to see what happens with this vote before anything that the MSOs can do to stall any new licenses being issued is in their favor. So then that way they can get a jump start in anticipation of adult use legalization getting past this upcoming midterm election. So I'm willing to bet that all of those things right there combine into why this story is a reality.
But when you bring the lawyers into it, it just complicates the hell out of everything.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's just the reality of this. And all of these states use their own laws, their own constitution. So, Florida has the initiative process different in California. They have basic laws different than us. And, you know, I don't like lotteries. I prefer you just allow anybody who thinks that they want to go try to, you know, be in the weed business, you know, as long as they're not heinous criminals and shit like that, let them go. Let them do it. The other complicating matter that you brought up, AJ, is gun ownership. I got a lot of clients that are vets. Okay. They own guns. I got a family members own guns. So when you go to the VA and they want a drug test you, the answer is, yeah, fuck you. I'm giving you a drug test because this stuff shows up positive. And when you apply for a gun, the federal government gets involved and there's a zero tolerance policy for cannabis. And we've covered over, I don't know, the last year or so, some of the developments about gun ownership and using cannabis specifically. And we don't have a clear picture yet. I suspect the Supreme Court's going to have to step in because most, even conservative jurisdictions that looked at this and compare it to the Second Amendment, they go, yeah, there's no historical precedent for taking guns away from someone who might have a drink occasionally. If they're drunk and being stupid, take them away temporarily. This is the battle we're going to watch over gun ownership. Because a lot of people are reluctant to admit what they do because they don't want the system to know they smoke weed. Because there's other consequences to it. It's just that it's another confounding factor to try to get this shit figured out. I don't have an answer for it. I can just point out the problems I see.
What do you think on this, Nate?
I'm really on the side of what it means to actually have freedom in this country. I really kind of, you know, on the whole side of what it actually means to have what you want and do what you want. How convoluted is that? I was almost lost in that thought as you asked me. It's like, what is it actually to be in this area free in terms of your cannabis and your guns? And the fact that we don't have any real pathway that really allows that, although I enjoy both personally, it's an enigma. I don't know what else to say about it other than just having been washed up in that feeling of like, wow, what bullshit, you know? That's it.
This is part of the social contract that we give up a certain amount of our freedom for the good of the whole. And then where that line gets drawn is the pissing matches we engage in. Okay. Because I believe people should have the maximum amount of freedom to do what the hell they want to do in their own private lives, so long as they're not interfering with the rights of others. That's where things begin to get problematic. And if you want to smoke a joint in your backyard while you're barbecuing, okay, who gives a okay? And if you're out in the woods hunting and you smoke a joint to relax and a deer walks by and you drop it, who gives a okay?
Yeah.
You can be out there drinking a beer. See, this is
I
where
think the problem is when you're experiencing a home invasion while smoking a joint and you have to shoot somebody.
Yeah. Well, that goes down to the basic right to have the gun. See, and I understand it because I lost my gun rights when those fuckers went after me. Okay. And I had to give my guns away to the family and they still have them. Okay? I understand that. And that is one of our basic rights that we didn't have to get from the government. It's like, you come and threaten me, I will kill you. Okay. That's a guy thing. That's how guys react. Because behind every stance we take is the threat that I'm going to fucking hurt you. Okay. And when someone's breaking into your property with your family there, I used to carry a concealed weapon for that they threatened me and my family to kill us. It's like, motherfucker, I'll pop a cap in your ass in a heartbeat. But if you can't get a gun legally, now, even if you shoot the son of a bitch, you know, you're not supposed to have the gun. Now you get in trouble for that. These are called malum prohibitum laws. It's not because they're bad in and of themselves, because we decided we don't want you to do it. Well, fuck you. Who told you could tell me that? And that's the pissing match we have. Because from the start of our country, if you didn't have a gun, you couldn't defend yourself. Right? And today, a lot of people think, oh, let's break in your house would be cool, until somebody shoots your ass on the porch. Okay. And the cops tell you drag him inside so you have a good defense. That, I mean, this really is a battle that hasn't even been engaged yet. As if we get the rights to smoke weed and buy guns legally, okay, there's some people who are going to shit themselves in this country.
Lots of shit going on. Well, Jenny Beth, you have any thoughts on this before we wrap it up?
Wrap it up so you don't get the drip.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.